I'm Beck, I'm a psychologist, and I've got a quick trick today to help you gauge your level of authenticity. And it also helps you gauge how much of you is in resistance to yourself at any given time. And that trick is, have you got a phone voice or a different voice that you use on the phone? And the way this is a great go-to tip and trick to find out which parts you're in resistance to is often the phone voice, or the voice we put on when we answer the phone, is a protector part. And which protector part you choose at any given time will give you a lot of information about which parts you're in resistance to, what your core beliefs are, how those core beliefs then shape how you turn up in the world. So, for example, you might notice that your voice changes. Perhaps you can't become very bubbly or very, very personable, very hi, whatever. Okay, so we're not judging that. That's not the point of this. It's for you to become conscious about patterns that show up in such an everyday situation, so that you can notice what that says about your internal dialogue at any given time. So if you find that that's your go-to way of answering the phone, you would be looking at people pleasing. You would be looking at why this extra lift of energy is necessary in that moment. Why do you feel you need to go the extra mile? What would that mean about how the person perceives you on the other end of the phone? And how would that then affect you if you were to show up differently? Say you were to answer in a gruff sort of voice. Hello, what would that mean about you? Perhaps you find you do answer in a gruff voice. So that's your protector part. So perhaps that's the part that keeps you safe from whatever onslaught you might have, a core belief around if people are out to get me or something like that. It could be a very, what do you want? Just assuming that it's going to be a negative interaction. I heard Keira Knightley speak, and she was making a joke about her phone voice, and she said she becomes very clipped and very proper. And I thought, okay, well, that's someone that's somebody that probably struggles holding boundaries, and so that protector part comes online to be very boundaries immediately. Okay, her protector kicks in to keep the boundaries. So that says a lot about her internal landscape and perhaps some of her core beliefs. This is just, just assuming, just an example. I'm not psychoanalyzing Keira Knightley. I would not deign to really psychoanalyze anyone. I don't know. It's just purely an example. So just have a look at your phone voice and then start to make some connections between what that says about which parts you're in resistance to, why they show up the way they do, how are they protecting you, and what are they protecting you from? And then once you have a play with some of those questions, what would it mean to show up differently? What would it mean to drop into somewhere that felt really safe in your body? And then answer the phone. How would that feel? And then how would that shape the interaction on the other end? And perhaps I'm a little bit behind the times these days because, how often do we get a phone call that's not now scamming or something like that? Back in the day, you'd answer the phone, you wouldn't necessarily know who it was. So this is maybe an obsolete example, but perhaps you can find your own way to figure out where you change your voice in social interactions and gain some information from that to help yourself regain authenticity.